And you're listening to Greek Speak on WSYC 88.7 FM here from Shippensburg, Pennsylvania on this Friday, November 14th, 2025. The weather outside is currently, the high is 51 degrees. It is currently 48 degrees and cloudy. The low tonight will be 35 degrees. And today is probably one of the most unique episodes I think we've had on the show in quite a while, if not ever. That is because we now have guests from the Phi Sigma Pi Honors Fraternity on campus. So it's not one of the fraternities or sororities that are under the IFC or the Pan-Hellenic Council. We are joined by Anna Weaver and Matthew Hoover today. So first to begin, Anna Weaver, she is a senior public service major who joined Phi Sigma Pi in the fall 2023 semester. She's previously been the alumni chair, followed by interchapter relations, and now is currently the president. Phi Sigma Pi, according to Anna, is both gender and major inclusive, and their goal is to get more out there on campus and make more people aware of PSP. And Matthew Hoover is a senior sustainability major. He joined PSP in the spring 2023 semester. He was previously the fellowship co-chair, fellowship chair, and the parliamentarian. He is currently the vice president. A lot of people have not heard of PSP, according to Matthew, but they have been on this campus for many years. It is full of extremely smart people from all majors doing great things on this campus every day. Matthew and Anna, what a pleasure it is to have you both on the show. Thank you for coming on the Greek Speak.
Thank you, Rainey. Thank you, Andrew.
Yep. So we will get started. I always ask the question to all of our guests, so we'll do it no different today. We'll start with you, Anna, and then Matthew can give your answer second. Why did you pursue PSP in the first place? What got you inspired to join?
So it's actually kind of funny. When I first went to the PSP recruitment events, it actually wasn't my idea. I was actually dragged along by my old roommate. And realistically, the thing that made me stay was the people. It was just going to all the events and really getting to know people on a personal level. And it was just that kind of energy that made me stick around. And then here I am now as president. So clearly I liked it enough to make it this far.
What about you, Matthew?
I randomly got an email freshman year about a recruitment event. They had a game night, and I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but all the people were really nice, so I stuck through the initiation process, and here I am.
What was the games that you played?
Probably Uno, fun card games.
Yeah, the heavy hitters, of course. And, well, just a curiosity, I guess, for me is you would have joined freshman year, and Anna, you joined sophomore year. So can you speak about doing that as a freshman? Like, why did it freshman year? Like, why did it occur to you to do it then?
Well, I didn't have a lot of things going on freshman year. I still didn't know a ton of people on campus. I wasn't involved quite yet in anything. So I just felt it was perfect. I mean, everyone was really nice. I had room in my schedule. I was looking to add something to my resume, so here I am.
And Anna, how about you, sophomore year? What was the impetus for that third semester?
It was just after experienced campus life after a freshman. It was more so now that I'm in kind of a good process of routine, I guess, of how my day-to-day would look like. And I was like, wow, I do have a lot of schedule here. And PSP makes it really easy to be flexible. So that's something that was I was really into just because going into some older years in college and joining a little late as a sophomore, some might think just for some clubs, it just ended up working out better for me because I was able to work my schedule around a lot more and I had a lot more freedom and a lot more time to join things.
So I want to point out one of my observations from the introductions that Rainey gave. So the one thing that really stood out to me was both of you holding executive leadership positions and have seemed to hold several positions. So was that always your intention within the organization? Kind of walk me through the process of you being a general member to you eventually going up to the different positions that you've held in the past, ultimately leading to the positions that you hold here today.
I can go first. Yeah, I know personally they kind of build you up to it. I know a lot of our lovely older members are now alum. You kind of start off in a smaller chair position, something super simple like hosting scholarship events on campus, or just anything in general. And then something that just made me want to take more leadership roles. Like Matthew said, it's a great resume builder to say you have experience, because I know specifically for me when I was alumni chair, I had to work with a lot of outside sources on campus, getting in touch with alumni. I hosted some events, especially with the Marriott, so working with other outside organizations and companies kind of helped build up to me now being president. And those are all super helpful. But no, realistically, it was really just a support system that the older brothers really gave to us. And they kind of walk you through, because other people before you have done the same role as you, and it kind of just walks you through the whole process. That way you're not overwhelmed and you kind of have an idea of what you're doing.
Yep, they prepare the leadership early. We talk about that almost every single week, I think, on this show. That's certainly a good answer. Matthew, what about you?
That was a perfect explanation. They kind of build you up throughout the years. I never planned on holding an exec position, but over time, as the older brothers graduate, you need someone to fill those spots, and you feel that you need to hold more leadership in the fraternity as you become an older brother. So you just kind of naturally slide into those positions.
So there's two of the positions that I see in both of your descriptions, and I kind of want to ask about them because I'm not necessarily sure what they are. I'll start with you, Matthew. What is the parliamentarian position? What does that detail? What are the everyday responsibilities with that position?
Parliamentarian, you look over the bylaws and the rules, and you help keep meetings run smoothly. You help with the initiates a little bit. Yeah, mainly it's just you try and keep everything orderly in the fraternity and make sure that everyone's following the rules and the bylaws.
So, I mean, I guess that's very similar to our vice president, otherwise known as our grand procurator, held by the great Alex Staub. Anna, the one position that you have on here that I was kind of wondering is the inter-chapter relations. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that sort of like your scribe?
Yeah, it's kind of like that in a way. I know interchapter relationships, their big thing is we have so many Phi Sigma Pi organizations nationwide. I know we have a lot of closer ones, like Millerville has a really close one. I think they're one of our closest ones to us. It's more so just like keeping in touch with other organizations, seeing how they're running things, trying to cross-reference what we're doing and what they're doing. And maybe like sometimes other chapters are doing better in one area than we are, and that's kind of the RCR's role, is to just make sure that like if anyone else has any better ideas out there that we're also including them and stuff like that. ICR also tries to do like some other events that kind of like include other organizations on campus. I know one of our past alumni, he tried to do what we call Geek Week. And it was kind of like similar to your guys' Greek Week, where you guys do a bunch of fun games and stuff like that. We wish it hit harder than it should have. We might try to bring it back. But it's kind of similar to your guys' Greek Week, and those are kind of some things that position might hold other than just keeping in touch with other chapters nationwide.
So inter-chapter relations, it's not just you're working with other groups on campus. You're talking to chapters that are everywhere else. Wow, that's a double-edged sword. I'm really interested in that process. But I would the Geek Week, that's not something I've ever heard of. I don't think. You say it's similar to Greek Week.
Yeah,
explain it a bit.
No, it is kind of similar. I know our old position, the person who held it before me, his name was Trevor. He's actually Matthew's big in the organization. Similar to Greek life, we do bigs and littles, so that's kind of he's on Matthew's fam line, which is pretty cool. He tried to start it. It's honestly very similar to Greek Week. Like, we just show up. I know me and Matthew went last year. We did like a 5K and stuff like that. And then he also had like other games. Like, it did get rained out, but there was like basketball and volleyball and stuff like that. So I feel like it's kind of similar to like what you guys do. And it's more just about like a lot of outdoor games and stuff like that.
Okay, really, really interesting. And just to walk back the process a little bit, I think, and go to the recruitment process, I think, is very important for PSP, because you guys mentioned like that you've been around for a long time, and I think I'd be curious to know the history of it a little bit, if you guys can reveal that to a certain extent. But I mean, you said it's gender inclusive, so both guys and girls are in it. How does that recruitment process go? What's the procedures for that? What's your rush week, quote unquote, look like?
I honestly think it looks pretty similar to other Greek organizations. I know we usually do it around the same time as you guys as well. We hold like our events, like we do nights in the red zones. We try to do maybe like volleyball or something like that, something sport related. I know we usually try to do like a s'mores night. That's usually a big hit. We host it outside on the Kiefer lawn. So kind of just stuff like that to try to encourage people to come hang out with us, get to know us a little bit more, hear about what we're about, kind of get to know each other on just like a friendship level, and then go from there. And then following that, we do like our regular ones, like after we go through like regular not initiation week, but the recruitment week.
So you guys do more recruitment, like, is it a semester, like throughout the semester you guys are doing other recruitment events?
Yeah, so it's a semesterly process. We do it each semester, and it's usually 2 weeks of recruitment. We usually try to do, like, just because we are major inclusive, everyone kind of has a different schedule.
Yes.
So we try to do 2 events per week, so it's 2 events 1 week and then 2 events the next week, and then we do that per semester.
Wonderful. And then so after those 2 weeks and the process goes through, I'd assume. And yeah, I mean, how do you guys develop a good experience for your new initiates? I'd say, like, once they get their bids. I'd assume that's the term that they would use, bids.
It's kind of similar to that. We don't actually use the word bids. But it's pretty similar to that process. Yeah, they kind of just get a little text message being like, hey, you're going to move forward, stuff like that. And then basically from there, we have things called an IA and a CIA, which is our initiate advisor and our co-initiate advisor. And they kind of walk them through the process. Like, other than their bigs, they're kind of there to, like, make sure that they're going through it properly. If they have any questions, any problems, they're there to help. And make sure the process of being an initiate is as smooth as possible and, like, it's less
Are those advisors, are they active members? Or
yeah,
okay.
You have to be an active member. They're actually on our exec board as well, so that is a requirement for them.
Oh, okay. I just heard the term advisor, and I was thinking maybe it's like some
They're just there to
external...
kind of advise the initiates in any way they might need, or, like, just to make sure it's a smooth.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, I think that's very interesting, and I believe it was fall of 2023, the IFC experimented with a 2-week rush process for all the fraternities here on campus. Obviously, it's a little bit different with the Panhill Council. Theirs is usually either a week or a weekend, but I know that they tried it out, and it was okay. Like, I would definitely say that there was a lot more energy within the first week, and then it kind of slowly died out, and it was kind of a one-time thing for us. But one thing that I have a question about is, what would you say is the difference between your organization and the AK Psi organization, which I believe is the business fraternity here on campus? The reason why I ask is because you guys are both quote-unquote educational fraternities, non-social organizations. So what would you say is the difference if you know?
I mean, I don't know if I could really answer to my fullest capability just because I have never experienced AK Psi. One of our members did. He was in both organizations. So maybe he would have had more for you, but personally on my level, I couldn't say it to the best of my capability.
So you just mentioned that they were in both organizations. That was actually the second part of my question, because I know that there was members that were in AK Psi, that were in sororities, in fraternities. At Kappa Sigma, we didn't have any, but like I knew it was possible. So that is completely allowed within PSP.
No, we just asked that like people give both equal representation to both and equal time to both. We've had a lot of people in sorority life as well. My big was in sorority life in PSP. We have current members who are doing both. It's actually quite common for us.
Well, I think that's wonderful for your organization, because I think, from the other side of it, where you join Kappa Sigma and there's no other social fraternity or social sorority for any of our members to join. However, they have that opportunity if they so desire to go to AK Psi, to go to PSP. And I think that's a good thing, because that, again, diversifies the college experience and makes everything better, I think, for anyone who'd be interested in that. So, going beyond that, I guess, if your purpose is education, how do you, as a chapter, like, focus on educational goals? I know there's obviously recruitment requirements that your potential new members would have to meet. How do you explore education?
Well, one of our main tripods is actually scholarship. So one of those things that if someone were to hold the scholarship chair, they're kind of in charge of like hosting events that are new, educational, and kind of like they're supposed to be fun. I know sometimes we do something silly like how to cook. A lot of people on campus don't know how to cook, leaving their families, but that is like
one of them, don't worry.
That is like one of the options and like examples I could give you. So they're kind of in charge of like educating the brothers about like maybe new things, maybe things they don't know about already. And that's up to the discretion of the person in charge of that position. But they usually try to make it fun for us. We try to make most of our events fun for our brothers. Really just so it's...
Well, it's good that the scholarship chair is a positive one. It's an enriching one, because unfortunately I think a lot of times on the social fraternity, social sorority side of it, it's often not a punitive one, I don't want to say it that way, but a lot of the focus is on brothers and sisters who aren't quite meeting the academic standards that we are hoping that they would meet, and having to work through that from a, I guess, conduct oriented perspective. So I think our chapter, like I remember trying to have a role in this last fall. We tried to implement something, it just didn't quite fit the shoe, if you will, or fit the foot, I guess would be the saying. But that's at least, it's good that opportunity's there. And how to cook, I mean, like I said, that's not something I know how to do. But I guess to reveal that, Matthew would know that all too well, because we didn't discuss this yet, but he is actually my roommate. So if anyone hasn't been aware of that, we've been living together for more than 2 years and been sharing apartments and dorms. So it's been a pleasure, Matthew, and I appreciate everything you've done to tolerate me, and all the rest for the past couple of years. I'm sure it hasn't been easy. Going through all of this, though, Again, I was really impressed by that scholarship chair answer. What are some of the other roles that are within PSP? What are some of the other chairs that you guys would have that might be a bit interesting to us?
So I'm actually in charge of the chairs and making sure that they plan their events and get them in the calendar on time. So we have a fellowship chair who is in charge of creating events that help our brothers bond more. So like a game night, kickball is really popular in our fraternity. Brotherhood hangouts. We also have a leadership chair. They usually teach us some sort of leadership skills. We have an alumni chair, like Anna talked about previously.
Wait, so you said that there was a fellowship chair and a brotherhood chair. Is that my understanding, or are those one the same?
No, just fellowship chair. But
okay.
One of the things they might hold is a brotherhood hangout.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, in terms for you guys, our fellowship chair is kind of like your brotherhood chair for you guys.
I mean, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the big things that we talk about in Kappa Sigma is, fellowship. So, it's the fancy term of brotherhood without saying brotherhood, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, well, yes, and thank you so far for both of you for a good discussion. We'll take a quick little pause here. Again, you're listening to Greek Speak with Luke Rainey, Andrew Mercier on WSYC 88.7 FM. With Matthew Hoover and Anna Weaver joining us on the show here on this Friday afternoon. So I want to transition. I want to go into what both of you guys do here on campus outside of PSP perhaps, and maybe the tie-ins that exist within it. So you both mentioned, I think you mentioned your public service major, Anna. I'm in political science, so a bit of that sister major, if you will. Yeah. So very closely related. So I have some thoughts whenever I ask this question. But you think about your academic studies, you think about your time as president of PSP so far, and even your past experiences within other semesters and other positions you've held. What are some of the relationships you've seen for the skills that are required to thrive in PSP, as well as the skills required to thrive in your field of study?
It's more or less kind of preparing you for like the unexpected. I think that's one thing PSP has taught me the most, especially like in my field, especially in the realm of politics. Like anything can happen.
Yeah, it's certainly
in our major,
yeah.
But.
Yep.
No, PSP has really taught me how to like really expect the unexpected in a lot of my positions. Some things that just happen to turn up, and I'm just like, oh no, that was not what I expected to do with my semester. But it just teaches you how to handle things in kind of a timely manner and how to fix things for the best for people. And kind of where I want my stuff to go for career in my education is I really just want to help people out. And if PSP helps me kind of make those connections, handle the unexpected, then that's kind of what I'll take from there and then apply it.
Yeah, preparing for the unexpected is a great observation. I think part of that as well for our field is conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Because and I don't need to be the one to say it, but the art of civil disagreement that is a long lost art in this country and in this world. So that's being able to be in an organization where you have to solve problems for the mere existence of your chapter, where sometimes there's matters that are literally life or death for the chapter. That's the type of experience that you don't get through the classroom, but in the career field, absolutely, it's going to be applied.
Sure.
Yeah, and even parliamentarian. I mean, Matthew, you mentioned that position. You mentioned running the parliamentary procedures of the meeting. I thought that was very interesting because even in politics, parliamentary procedures are extremely important, and if those aren't followed, decorum goes into chaos in any form of government. So, Matthew, tying that into your field of study, so talk about that. How does it connect to your area of interest? Well, what are you studying first off? Because I don't think we explained that in the introduction.
So the title of my major is sustainability. That's basically environmental science. I had actually never met a sustainability major on campus until I joined PSP. My big Trevor was actually the first sustainability major I met here on campus.
Wow. So when you came to campus, were you studying sustainability then?
No, when I first came to SHIP, I was undecided, and then I declared sustainability spring of my freshman year.
Yeah. What inspired you to go to sustainability?
Just my background with loving the outdoors, being in Scouts. I've always had a connection to the outdoors. So
well, that's an interesting segue. Then you mentioned you're in Scouts. So how long were you in Scouts for? In I'm sure elementary, middle, high school. Like what was that like for you?
Yep. I started in Boy Scouts. At some point in elementary school, I joined Cub Scouts. Started Cub Scouts in elementary school. made my way through Boy Scouts in middle school and high school, so at least 10 years probably.
I mean, I think Boy Scouts is very, very important, and I think it's very underappreciated. Same thing with Girl Scouts. I think just the Scouts program, as a whole, are very important in terms of just personal and leadership development. So what are some, I would say life lessons that you learned from Scouts that, you saw applying to your, life as a college student and then ultimately as a member of the PSP fraternity and part of the executive board?
I guess, I don't know, Scouts, you learn how to be a good steward. Like they teach you all these good rules to follow in life. They have the motto of be prepared. They have the Scout law and the Scout oath. All these things that you should be doing in your everyday life.
What year did you join Scouts?
A long time ago.
A long time ago. You have elementary school, I'd assume, or
yeah,
because I know that they had Cub Scouts, so I pursued it for 1 year, and then my older brother, he did it for 3, I believe. And just it wasn't something I stuck with, but I do remember the Pinewood Derby cars and having the crate with the little wheels, and you rush them down the little chute or whatnot. You see which one goes the fastest.
I mean, all I'm going to say is if Rainey was a Scout and we asked him that exact question, he would give us the exact date, the year, the second, the time, what he was doing before that, his experience of the first day. Dude is a living Wikipedia.
Well, I'll tell you. So I got some good stories, actually, from that first year, from that 1 year I was in Scouts. So I remember they actually, you ever heard the telephone game where you whisper a message?
Yeah.
So we did an exercise like that in Cub Scouts, right? So I didn't know what that game was at all. I was 6 years old. At that age, and perhaps still even today, 15 years later, I just had problems following directions on simple tasks. What happens, though, so we do this telephone game, and I thought you could just whisper whatever you wanted, not realizing you just had to actually relay the message. So, of course, it was a total, abomination once it got to the end of the line. I remember doing something that night where we also, connecting the strings to the cups, and then that you can hear through the tin can. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. That Scouts was interesting. I also remember it was the end of year celebration where we had. So there was a challenge get the cookie. You keep your face
Oreo
up.
Game?
Yeah, the Oreo game. So they gave us the Oreo cookie where you have to throw your head up vertically at a 90-degree angle, and then you have to try and without moving it with your hand. So I haven't revealed this yet, and I was definitely caught by somebody, but no one confronted me on it. I cheated so bad in that game, but guess what? I won. I got a little prize for it and all the rest. And
I can only imagine the little face he was making. But kind of going back to what Matthew was saying about being outside and stuff like that. I think that's also another thing that has honestly been lost in translation, especially in the 2020s, especially with COVID coming in 2020, which really caused people to pause and stay indoors. So what would you say are the things, your favorite outdoor activities, if you had to say, let's say 2 activities?
There's so many good ones. Hiking's definitely up there, especially where we live. We are so close to the forest. You can just go drive into the forest and find any trail. And there's great views in Michaud. Another outdoor activity, this is a sport really, but soccer. I've always loved playing soccer, which you typically play outside.
you played that in high school, correct?
Yes, I did.
Well, so yeah, talk about hiking, because my big Jack Burkhart, as Anna referred to him, and the nickname that we give him is Sweet Kid. He's a very, very pleasant person. So
you say Sweet Kid, it's sweet.
It's
Sweet boy.
Sweet
So
boy.
I'm gonna say Sweet Boy. Yeah. So yeah, very, very pleasant person to be around though. But he's my big, and I'm very blessed to have him as my big. But we've gone hiking. We went hiking I think once or twice a summer or two ago, and I can't say I'm the outdoors type of person. Bug bites and whatnot scare me a little, but I can say is that you don't appreciate the art of hiking until you actually go do it and you get to the top and you get to see the view that you're fighting to get towards. So, what are some of your favorite trails to go on, not just here locally, but throughout your life?
I got one thing before we get there.
Okay.
Just one thing, because it's in my mind and I know I'm going to forget about it if I don't get it off right now. And I think Anna should remember this because she actually had to sew a whole pair of my there was a huge hole in my pants.
It was huge, guys.
So it was me, Jack, Burroughs, and I almost want to say Tanner. It was either Tanner or Wayne, and we went on a hike, and I wore just a regular pair of New Balance shoes. I wasn't prepared at all. The tread on the bottom of them was completely shot, and we were walking. Keep in mind, it was in the mountains. It had just snowed, so it was snowy. It was icy. I fell about 10 times. I was so upset, and it hurt so bad. I remember a rock pretty much stabbed me. I had a cut all over me. But then I looked down, and I was wearing these gray Nike pants. I actually wore them yesterday, fun fact. But I remember I looked down, and there's just a whole cut all down the pants. And I remember getting back. I'm like, I just bought these pants. They're really nice.
And they're expensive, too.
And then Anna was Anna's like, just give them to me. I'll sew them back together. I was like, what? And then you did it that day. It was maybe an hour later, they were back. But that was just a fun fact of me hiking with Jack. And it's just a running joke of Jack asking me if I want to go hiking. Yeah. And I get really mad every time he asks me. So
I guess the question for Matthew then is, okay, so what are your favorite places to go? What are your favorite places to hike? And have you ever had an incident like that before?
Before I answer that, maybe Anna could have a scholarship event for our fraternity where she teaches sewing.
Oh, I could do that.
Oh.
I'm a pretty crafty person. I know how to, do some things.
I know you have to thread the needle, and that's about the extent of my knowledge. I don't know
you know
how
what, Rainey,
would you
they
ever
actually
get there?
make a tool that helps you thread it. I feel like you really enjoy that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, if I ever got around to sewing. Well, so let's go back to hiking then. So how's your hiking experience, Matthew?
We live in Pennsylvania, so it's pretty good. We have a lot of good trails. I don't really have any that come to mind for my favorite trail, but I can tell you my least favorite is the Rattlesnake Run area in South Michaud. Those trails are horrible, especially in the summer. Plants are so overgrown. You're just brushing up against stuff the entire time. It does not feel like you're on a hiking trail.
What? So, man, my goodness, that's a bad experience, I guess. But I mean, how many times have you done that trail? Just once, or was it you done it multiple?
There's a group of trails down there.
Yeah.
That was actually for a project for my one professor. I wasn't doing it for fun. I was surveying hiking trails for Dr. Hedberg. That was for his Sustainable Trails project in Michaud.
Well, maybe, so surveying trails, that's an interesting segue, because I know you did that, and I think it was the summer of 2024. How did that opportunity come about, and what was that experience like overall?
I saw that Dr. Hedberg posted this on Handshake. The experience was okay. I didn't quite know what I was getting myself into at first. Basically, I was given a group of trails that I needed to survey by the end of the summer, and I drove down there whenever I wanted by myself. So I was walking through the woods by myself.
When you say surveying trails, what does surveying look like? Just looking at the ecology along the trails?
That could be sometimes, but not in this case. So we were looking at the steepness of the trails. We were looking at the erosion. That was really the big one. We were looking to see if there were signs on any of the trails. A lot of them didn't, but Michaud didn't quite have a list of what had signs and what didn't. So they were collecting that data as well. And if there was any trash on the trails that people left.
Oh, so... yeah, that's really interesting. You were able to get that opportunity through the faculty, be able to do that for a summer, and glad you got that experience. And we'll take a quick pause here again. You're listening to Greek Speak on WSYC 88.7 FM with Luke, Rainey, Andrew Mercier, and this week it is Anna Weaver and Matthew Hoover who are on the show. So continuing this discussion, I guess, because this has been a really interesting segue, kind of off topic for sure, but just it's good to hear because we've never really talked about these subjects before. What are you looking to do with environmental sustainability?
That is a great question. I am currently in the process of figuring that out. In fact, I just got back from a grad school visit today. One of the main things I'm looking at is to do something with soil science or regenerative agriculture. I also had an internship in the urban planning area this past summer. That's maybe a possibility, maybe not. Still not sure on that one yet. I think I'm pretty set on wanting to go to grad school after this. I'm just not quite sure what area yet.
I mean, that's good. That's a good field, I'm sure, especially for agricultural sciences and things like that to tie in. And then obviously, that's the powerhouse. That's the machine that feeds our country, of course, that industry. So I think that's a really wonderful line of work.
And we have a lot of people that are retiring from that field, and not a lot of young people replacing them. So we need more young people to step up in the agriculture industry.
I do kind of want to ask, this is where I want to start to tie it all back together, and then I ultimately want to get to Anna with the exact same question. But Matthew, what do you think, or how do you think you can take your time here at SHIP and your time within your fraternity and really translate it into your professional world? What are some tips and tricks that you've learned along the way that will ultimately make you much more successful in, the quote-unquote real world?
Great question. PSP has really made me put myself out there. I wasn't really the type of person to go up and just talk to people and meet people on campus. But as soon as I joined PSP, I was kind of not forced, but like coerced into it. We had like about 50 members when I first joined, and they really want us to talk to each other and get to know the brothers. So I'd say just like communication and meeting new people, but also those leadership skills of being on exec, probably teamwork as well.
Yeah, I'd say that's so well connected to my experience. And Matthew, you would remember it just because you would have been along. You would have been witnessing me. Like I said earlier, being roommates. I mean, you knew I was pursuing Kappa Sigma, and you knew some of the trials and tribulations I was going through at that period in my life. And I think for me, I wanted to communicate. I just had no idea how. And Anna, I know you've, obviously with your position as a sweetheart in our organization, of course, you would have known me for a while since. I'm sure you've seen my growth over the past couple years. And I can obviously give the same remarks about both of you for as long as I've known you. And a lot of it's because of the encouragement of the three people that are sitting around this studio right now. So all three of you have shaped my life for the better. So I just a nod of thanks for all your work.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're like my crown jewel, my I don't know, my diamond in the rough. You were like my protege. I spoke up in defense of you for a long time. I mean, we've talked about it several times on and off air about how I was explaining and pretty much just telling you my vision for the organization and you before you even were considering joining the organization. I put the idea of public relations into your head, and look what you've done. And I think you should be 100% proud of yourself. Like I'm not one of the people that likes to pat myself on the shoulder, and I'm sure you're not either. But you really should, because you've done wonderful things, and we thank you for that. But
real quick though, it's a lesson more than anything about what it means to have people in your corner. Because that was a time in my life where I didn't have people in my corner, and I didn't know what it was like to have people in my corner. So that's where, again, I mean, people, I always defend this, but I don't get so, I guess, aggressive whenever I defend it, and I am right now. But when people talk about that, I mean, why? Well, what's the point in Greek? Like, that's what it is. Sometimes when there's no one willing to fight for you, but you are someone out there thinks you're worth fighting for, and there is a better version of you than the one you sometimes display, that's where Greek life comes in a lot of times. So that's something I'm very passionate about, because it changed my college experience for sure. And like I said, all three of you can attest to that with my experience, and perhaps even your own experiences too on this college campus. But I know we wanted to tie some of those career questions towards Anna, so Andrew, fire off.
Yeah, so there's a couple questions that we got here. But obviously, Anna, you talked about being in the public service major. What do you want to do with that? What's the game plan? Give me a 5 to 10 year game plan. 5
to 10 years. Oh my. I actually came in undecided. I feel like that's really important to say, because I have changed my stuff around so much. The administrations cannot get enough with me with how many minors I've added and dropped, and how many times I've changed my mind. Realistically though, as far as I'm set right now, I just want to do something similar to Matt environmentally wise. Realistically, I never know what I'm going to do, but if I know I can wake up and look outside and I can work outside and it's beautiful out, I'm going to be happy. And I'm always a happiness over money type person, especially which is like, I feel like is kind of rare to come by these days just because of like how the economy's going. But that's kind of just like, I don't know if I can go 10 years, but like, I just want to graduate, find somewhere that kind of relates back into the field of environment. I can tell you what like my plan C option is. If everything else goes haywire, I might want to be a park ranger, something like that. And if you want to tie that back into PSP and my leadership there, it's kind of just anything like in the realm of government you need leadership skills for, like whether I want to work in a park service or even if it's like locally too, like local government's really a huge thing as well. People tend to forget about that. It's just you really need leadership skills, and like being president and like being on an exec board and like being taught how to have a voice for yourself is kind of like the biggest takeaway. Because like before I joined an organization, I mean, you two know me, I like to talk sometimes. But realistically what it taught me was just like how to like speak up for myself in the way of like my own opinions and like things that are passionate to me. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. Sorry I couldn't give you a deeper answer of what I want to do in my future, but
I think that's a great answer.
Right. It's just like I said earlier about it gives people in your corner who can give you the confidence to do what you want to do.
No, that it really truly is what it's about.
I'm given the confidence. We talked about this last week as the motivations chair. I'm given the confidence to try and rally the troops every chapter we got, that to give a fiery speech to everybody to get them passionate about whatever issue of the day we're facing as a chapter. So that's something that public speaking is a huge part of what we're doing in Greek, of like what like we're doing as in a field of study like we are in political science and public service. That's actually been a way for me to think about, okay, well, how can I best convey the messages? And I've done better in some weeks, and other weeks I have. And I think this past week I didn't quite deliver. I got a good one this weekend, so. You know, Andrew, I'm very excited to deliver it. But no, I mean, all that to be said, though, that was a great answer.
No, it's genuinely what it's about. And I know you mentioned public speaking. Like, I think joining an organization on campus really helps with that because, like, for example, like we have chair positions, like you hold events. So, like, for example, if that's not a strong suit you have, but like if you join an organization that's like, even if it's like small, like PSP, you have like a close-knit community where like you can start off by learning public speaking by doing it in front of a crowd you're comfortable with, and then that kind of builds you up for like your future of doing it like somewhere that's maybe not around people you're comfortable with.
Talk about some of the events you've done. Sorry, Andrew, but like what are some of the events you've done? You mentioned a 5K. Do you guys have like some philanthropy activities, anything like that?
Yeah, currently our philanthropy is the Alzheimer's Foundation. That's a new one we picked just because we didn't have a local chapter organization. We used to have like our national one, but I don't think they really do a lot with that as much anymore. So right now our main concern is Alzheimer's. I know we've done a philanthropy event with you guys in the past. We've done a joint thing about that. That's something we've done together.
How long ago was that event? Because my memory's foggy right now.
I honestly think a year ago.
I'd say it was like September, October of 2024. So
okay. Was it like a table? I think I remember this now.
It was tabling.
Yep, now it's coming back. Was it like a sticker sale? It was something in the Cub, I remember.
I think it was baked goods.
It was, I think it was baked goods and like bracelets, and they had like sayings on them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do remember in fall 2024, and I love the effort, and I thought it was a great effort, but I do remember you being very vocal about trying to get PSP connected with our chapter a lot more, and that was something I enjoyed, obviously, not just because of my friendship with Matthew, but...
And that was when I was ICR chair, and that's one of the things, like, you do in that position, like, you just try to get out there with other chapters, and I think it's, like, important to do for, like, anyone who's taking on exec role, like, even if your organization's really small, the biggest thing is, like, even if it's a really small event on campus, just being able to put yourself out there and try to like be open to other organizations like grouping in with you and stuff like that is like kind of the biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
So I kind of got two questions that have come to mind over that. So the first question is kind of an individual question for both of you, and then the second question will be more so an organizational organizational answer. The first question is, because I think it's very important to note, because life's not perfect. None of us are perfect. We make mistakes every single day. So what are some, things that you've learned within your leadership and throughout your time within SHIP and PSP that have helped you, I guess, bounce back from a mistake or a failure? Matthew, you want to start?
I think Anna should start.
Okay.
We'll give him some time to think. No, personally for me, I mean, this is just kind of how I live in general, is like sometimes you can just take things day by day. It's really all you can do. I know I struggle with stress management a lot. And, like, just being able to take things day by day, like, take them as they come, it's kind of the best thing to do, especially when you run an organization. You can only plan ahead so much before you start, like, getting too spun out. Another thing we kind of try to remember is, like, we tried their best not to stress our members out. At the end of the day, we are a college organization, and that's one thing we try to take away from. We can only do as much as we can here while we're still here. And it's kind of just, like, leaving a good, like, footprint left for, like, the people who come after us in generations and, like, future brothers in the organization, and making sure they have, like, a good path to follow, as well as just, like, making sure people just enjoy themselves while they're here. That's kind of, like, our main takeaway is, like, if something ever happens at the end of the day, it's about, like, just taking it and dealing with it and trying not to get too spun out about it, because realistically, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
See, I knew you would have a great answer. I would say time management. As a college student, you have classes, homework, and then you start adding extracurriculars to your schedule. And then once you you go into those leadership positions for your extracurriculars, then you're adding more time to your schedule. So you really gain these skills to
basically to manage your life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the end of the day,
and that's what you're going to have to do in your job in the future.
Right.
So taking that from school, you can manage your time better once you graduate.
Well, I think, and more than anything, from my experience, that question, it's also a matter of, you said, like, juggling all the things you got, but sometimes things don't always go well in the organizations you're a part of, and at the end of the day, like, I always think of it, whenever if things are going bad in their chapter, whereas but things are good in my chapter but bad somewhere else in life, I'm always able to say, well, this isn't going well right now, but I know this is going well, and this is where I can put some of my energy towards and think about. Like, that matters so much to stay happy in college. I promise you.
And the question that I guess the last question before we transition into our favorite segment of the week.
Yes.
It's kind of for both of you as your president and vice president. What are your goals for, the rest of the semester and moving into the next semester in the spring of 2026? What do you hope happens for PSP? I mean, I think this is a very big question, and there could be a lot of answers to it, but, just give me one big goal that you have for the next, 8 months.
I mean, I guess I can go first. I think my big goal is really just to get more people to know about us. It's the most we can do, especially with, like, I think just, like, especially after COVID, getting people to join organizations can sometimes be hard with that shift of people just being stuck inside. So I think my big thing for next year is really just getting more people to know us, getting more people to hang out with us and join us. So that's kind of what we're working on right now.
I have the same answer, basically, is we need more people to join. That's our big goal right now. We've had so many people graduate over the past few years, and not enough people know about us. Like Luke said in my introduction, our name is not out there enough, and people need to know about us because it's a great organization.
Well, I think, and I'd say this is, as friends of your chapter, on a personal and as an organizational level, I can tell you, Andrew and I, like, we're more than happy to try and help you guys as much as possible in those efforts. We really respect the work that you guys do, and at the end of the day, you're not competition with us. You're not within, like, IFC or anything like that. So we can mutually help each other, I'm sure, number one. But number two, I mean, that's something our chapter is facing too. Like, we're looking at a huge graduation pool in 2026, and we are concerned about how it's going to sustain itself afterward. Once you lose a huge belt of people, it probably changed a lot of things, and you guys have experienced that change. But I'd also say is that I definitely think a lot of those are cyclical, and that eventually things will turn back into the favor of the organization regarding size. But I do so in situations of challenge. There's certainly a lot of opportunity. But we'll take a quick pause here again. You're listening to Greek Speak on WSYC 88.7 FM with Luke, Rainey, Andrew Mercier every Friday at 5 p.m. Anna Weaver and Matthew Hoover have joined us this week in the studio, both members and in officer positions for PSP, the president and vice in the room right now. So to conclude the episode, it's, again, our favorite time of the week, as Andrew said earlier. It's time for us to be put on the hot seat. What questions do you two have for Andrew and I that we can answer?
I mean, yeah, I know, like, personally, I've been friends with you guys. I've been friends with Andrew since freshman year, and I'm a senior now. I think my big thing is, like, what kind of inspired you guys to start this whole podcast to begin with? I feel like I've friends with you outside of this, and I've never really heard the actual answer.
I'll answer that real quickly. I know we do have a sports broadcast that's coming in soon, so I think they're waiting to get in the studio, so we'll transition out as quickly as we can. But nonetheless, when it came to Greek Speak, it was us two. We approached at the time the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life Director, Bridget Allen, with this idea. And I would also preface that by saying, in the spring of 2024, when I was a new member, there was definitely some uneasy relations between the student media and Greek life organizations. And as someone who belongs to and cares deeply about both, that hurt me a little. And I felt like this was an outlet to more positively reflect the aspects of Greek life and Greek societies than the reputation that was sort of going around, and to try and ease the hostility. And I felt like I had the power to help make a difference in that. So we approached Bridget with the idea. She loved it, and we have just run with it since. Andrew, you have any remarks to give on that too?
Yeah, I mean, it all started with Luke and I. We just sat down and, we're talking about the idea of it, and we were just so excited to fix things, to try to attempt to fix things. And I remember we sat down, wrote up a whole pitch document, and ultimately we met and went over it. And then we transitioned into meeting with Bridget Allen, and she was such a huge supporter. And I was actually just talking about it earlier today about how, we wanted to get her blessing, wanted to get her feedback on it before we even came to the station and proposed it to the former general manager, Jenna Cornell. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so happy and proud of, how far it's come. That's definitely what I'll say there.
Right. We definitely made some improvements to the show, of course, with 4 microphones at a time. That was an addition of itself. Any other questions for both of us?
What's your favorite thing about being in Kappa?
Ooh. Got a number of them. I'd say it starts, well, for me, it's the friendship. I was hurting for friends. I'll call it what it was. I had good friends at that point in my life, but I just felt like there was something missing beyond it, and that's what joining Kappa Sigma did. It provided me a great brotherhood. Andrew?
Yeah, I was just looking for people that would support me in all of my ventures, no matter what, and people that would raise me up in times that were needed, but ultimately people that would make me a better person and, make me a better leader and make me prepared for my future, because, the term real world is really intimidating, and, all through college I was like, it's still a couple years away.
Yeah.
It's not a couple years away anymore for all of us. And yeah, I was just looking for people that would raise me up in the time that I needed. And it's definitely been that.
Let me flip that question. What's your guys' favorite part about PSP?
The people, realistically. It's really just the people. Mm-hmm. You meet so many new people, especially everyone's coming from different waves of life, especially being co-ed and accepting all majors. It's really just the people and finding out what other people are doing in life and the different perspectives they give you.
Luke, I'm going to steal your answer because that's the exact same way I felt.
Yeah.
I needed some friends back in freshman year, and I've made some great friends, and now I have great connections for life, people that I'm always going to stay in touch with. So, and
I do think that also the friendships that pre-existed that and even come after that, I think those are strengthened as well by me being a brother at Kappa Sigma, just because I think people have good respect for the fact that we're in another organization, and that I'm in another organization. I do the things that are associated with it. So I think there's so many benefits to that. But just to close off the show, of course. So again, probably one of my favorite episodes we've ever done, just because it was extremely unique to have both of you on. And thank you for the good work that both of you have done, not only as friends of us, but also as officers of PSP and everything your chapter does. And again, we're really rooting for your cause, and we're hopeful that perhaps this episode can help you guys out in any way, shape, or form, just to get the word out there about the work you guys do. So thank you, Anna. Thank you, Matthew, both for positively representing PSP today and for taking time out of your evening to be on the show. And on behalf of everybody listening, I thank you all for watching. And until next week, we'll see all of you later.